What's good, YouTube, man? I'm back with another video. Welcome to the channel. Now, this video gonna be about the pressure of Spence. Now, everybody know he got a fight with Terence Crawford coming up pretty soon. And basically, a lot of people got their opinions on how the fight is gonna go and stuff like that. But from my personal observations, what I have seen is Terence Crawford, he tends to fight fire with fire. When he's fighting a left-handed fighter, he fights in a left-handed stance itself. So I got Errol Spence versus Chris Van Heerden, a left-handed fighter that likes to move, and basically he puts pressure on Van Heerden. And basically, I'm gonna basically show what I observed with the pressure that he puts on. It's not just a lot of punches, a punch volume like to start off. So typically, Errol Spence will set everything up with his jab. But in this case, when he's fighting a left-handed fighter, what he's doing is he's not really doing too much at first. He's really using feints. And all a feint is basically like a fake punch or pretty much like a pump fake in boxing. Just pretty much just a fake punch just to set other things up. So what he does is he feints. Now, it's two different ways you can feint. You can feint with the head. You can feint with punching. You can feint with movements. It's different ways you can feint. But it's different ways that I see him feint. He feints with the head. He feints with the punches. And he's really, trying to get that reaction out of his opponent. He's trying to get the reaction out of Van Heerden at first. He's trying to really see where he at, How does he react to me feinting my jab? I'm not going to throw the jab out. I'm going to just feint it and see how he react to it, All the while, he's cutting the ring off, you know what I'm saying? And he's setting up the distance as well. So he's doing all of this, at the same time. And that's putting pressure on Van Heerden, you know what I mean? So the pressure really comes from, the feints, the foot shuffles, and all these other different things. So as you can see, he comes in, feint, feint. And basically, he's trying to anticipate him as well, He's defensively ready for everything, but also he's trying to set everything up. He's trying to set up the distance, He's trying to throw him off with the feints, you know what I'm saying? Now, he's not rushing in trying to take the man's head off. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to recognize. He's not throwing his body off balance to land punches. He perfectly calm, you know what I'm saying? He's taking steps back, to make sure he's out of punch range just in case right here and throw some punches. He getting the feel for that distance, you know what I'm saying? And, he trying to set up his own offense with feints. He trying to throw him off with the feints. Shuffling in, shuffling out. Just getting the feel for it. That's intelligent boxing. That's smart boxing. He's a volume puncher, but, it's many different wrinkles to this man's game, man. I don't think he get enough credit. He definitely sets a lot of stuff up in the ring, man. Definitely is a patient fighter. Definitely is an intelligent fighter. I want everybody to pay attention to the distance control. Look at the distance that they at right now. And I want people to realize that he understands the distance from this space that he's in right now. And he knows how to close this distance, you know what I'm saying? And this can be a similar look to what we see against him versus Terence Crawford. Because, Terence Crawford fight left-handers in a left-handed stance. So this going to be a very similar scene to what we can see with Terence Crawford. Two left-handed guys, both know how to control distance and, they have a good understanding for distance. So this is going to be a very similar scene. And I want you to pay attention to the distance right here in this photo, frozen. You can see it's the first round, 1 minute, 48 seconds. Check out the distance, between him and Van Heerden, and stuff like that. Look at the distance, Van Heerden is there, Spence is there. Pay attention to how he closed the distance in the next shot. So boom, like I said in my last video, you know, he just uses the jab. You step in with the jab to close the distance. And he knows from this point he can touch his opponent so he can land a straight left, you know, pretty simple, you know, to make it simple. He can land a straight left after he closes the distance. You know, Van Heerden was moving. He closed the distance with the jab after he set up with the feints, after he set up with the, you know, the foot shuffles in and out. You know, he set all that up. He set the distance. He closed the distance with his jab. And now he's putting himself in a position to land punches because he's basically, you know, pinpointing the punches. You know what I'm saying? He knows he can touch his opponent. So if you can touch your opponent, you can hit your opponent, you know. Like I said in my last video, he can touch Van Heerden. You know, he can physically touch him. Just like Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez when he got warned for holding his hand on his head. Same exact thing. You know, he controlled the distance. He understands the distance. And he can basically just pinpoint all the punches that he want to throw from this position. You know what I'm saying? So with him being left-handed and his opponent being left-handed, he does not have to lunge in on his jab because he don't have to shoot the jab over the top of his opponent's lead hand, okay? So if Crawford going to be in the left-handed stance, Spence will not have to lunge in on his jab. Spence isn't lunging in on his jab here. He doesn't have to do that, you know. Their lead hands do not touch, you know, none of that. You know, it's not going to be what people keep saying it is. It's going to be like two orthodox fighters, you know, just a normal jab, and he using it to set up his offense, you know. He already used the feints, you know, he already used the foot movement in and out to establish the distance, to gauge the distance. And now he's able to pinpoint his punches, you know, and pretty much make it a way for him to land his shots and get out the way. Now, if you look at this clip right here, you notice how Errol Spence is once again closing the distance with the jab, making his opponent react to him, and easily, you know, evading the punches by shuffling in and out. You know, he shuffles in with the jab to close the distance, and then he also moves back, shuffles backwards to evade the punches that come back at him, you know, controlling the distance. That's literally him controlling the distance, evading the shots coming towards him by shuffling backwards and closing the distance by shuffling in with the jab. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy and very effective. So when you see Spence jabbing, notice how he's stepping in with his jab. He's taking his lead foot and he's stepping in, you know, and he's closing the distance with his jab. It's effectively closing distance. It's putting pressure on his opponent because your opponent has to react to that, you know, somehow. They're either going to move or they're going to block or they're going to move their head. They're going to do something. But he's closing that space between the two fighters, and that's the effective thing to do. What you don't want to do is throw the punches when you're out of range, and you don't want to throw the punches when you're lunging in, you know, like we seen Sean Porter do against Terence Crawford, or Felix Diaz did against Terence Crawford. And even Ndongo even did it against Terence Crawford, where they threw punches from out of range or they lunged in. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to do that. Just jab in, close the distance, and let your opponent react to everything else. Now, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a prime example of what you don't want to do. You do not want to do this. You can clearly see Julius Ndongo foot positioning is completely off balance. He can get Terence Crawford can blow on him like Lance Stevenson did LeBron James. and he'll tip the fuck over. It's like, no, that's not where you want to be. You want to have good balance. You know what I'm saying? You want to have a strong, sturdy stance. You know what I'm saying? What Ndongo was doing is just neglecting distance, and that's never a smart thing to do. Even though he was able to have a little bit of success from it, just not what you want to do. You know, you want to have a strong balance. You want to come in with strong fundamentals, set everything up, like real concise, real clean, real compact. You know, you never want to swing your body off balance. It's going to be easy for a guy like Crawford to see all that stuff coming, you know. But if you can, feint, set everything up, what Ndongo was doing, and the reason why I'm highlighting this, if you don't know, if you didn't watch my other videos, is because Ndongo was a left-handed fighter, and Crawford is fighting him in a southpaw stance. That's the thing I'm saying. So if Spence and Crawford fight, I'm predicting, as Crawford has shown, that he's going to fight Spence in the left-handed stance as well. I feel like Crawford is a lot stronger in a left-handed stance than a right-handed stance. I think that he also fights in the left-handed stance because he don't want to get caught off guard, and it's real easy, if somebody left-handed and you left-handed, they don't got nothing to really surprise you with, Everything is there, just like two conventional fighters fighting and stuff like that. So it works. The southpaw stance works in Crawford's favor for multiple reasons, If he fighting a right-handed fighter, he control their lead hand. If he fighting a left-handed fighter, they can't surprise him with anything. He fighting fire with fire. And, he neutralizing them, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, Julius Ndongo, his best thing that he did was, he threw punches, but what he did wrong was he neglected trying to establish his own distance, trying to control distance, trying to, just get any kind of leverage with distance. He just neglected that completely and just threw his punches completely off balance. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a huge mistake. Now, this is what I call beautiful boxing right here. Now, you see him shuffle in, block the punches, shuffle back, block punches, step in with a jab, smother the punch, come back, reset. Step back, evade the punches, do the same thing again. That's beautiful boxing, man. Just take a look at how he sets everything up, Not off balance, step in with the jab, smother what he trying to do. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful, Perfect, He knows what he's doing, man. Nothing is off balance, nothing is sloppy. You know what I'm saying? Everything is very concise. Everything is very, educated. Everything is educated that we see him doing, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing that's off balance like Julian Ndongo. It's nothing that's just walking in with no game plan like Felix Diaz. You know what I mean? Just trying to land big punches. These are educated punches. These are, well thought out punches. Great game plan, High ring IQ right here. We trying to set up clean, effective punching, using feints, shuffles, distance control. Beautiful. It's beautiful boxing, Very overlooked stuff right here because it's not as flashy as Terence Crawford. A lot of people don't appreciate it, but this is great boxing. If you're a real, true boxing fan that really appreciate the sport and got love for the sport, this is beautiful right here. You know what I'm saying? I want people to pay attention to what just happened in that last clip where basically, he keeps applying the pressure, steps in with his punches, but, he's not being reckless. He's not lunging in. He's not aggressively pursuing his opponent. He basically just staying calm, staying poised, letting his opponent do the movement. He just waiting to cut him off. You see that patient just waiting to cut him off. If you try to go left, he cuts it off. If you try to go right, he cuts him off so he can meet him where he's at. He's not following him around the ring, you know. He's taking the proper pursuit angle. They're just perfectly just cutting him off, you know what I'm saying? Cutting him off. He being patient with him, you know. He's not just going to try to just run after him and try to land huge punches and stuff like that. It's real calm work that we're doing right here, you know what I'm saying? And that's what you do against a mover. You let him move, you know, because that's where the pressure is coming from. The pressure is mostly coming from the opponent, if you think about it. Like, it's mental pressure, you know? Like, he doesn't have to move, but he's moving to evade, you know, Spence's offense. And I think a lot of opponents resort to that because standing in front of Spence isn't always a good idea. It's never really a good idea unless you got, like, elite head movement. And this is basically everything that I've been explaining about his style the entire video. You know, only uses the jab to close the distance. Even when the opponent moves, you know, he's ready to cut the ring off. And basically, he's ready to land his combinations off his jab at any given moment because he's closing the distance first. He's touching him with the jab, and then he set everything up after that. Boom. He know how to get into position to land the punches that he want to land off his jab, regardless if his opponent's moving or not. And it's all there for him, you know. Standing there just doesn't work. So he's just taking advantage of it. If you move, I'm going to close the distance with the jab. If you stand there, I'm going to close the distance with the jab, and I'm going to land my power punches. So eventually, you basically just leading to him forcing you to fight, basically. Because the ring is cut off, you know, the distance is closed. You only have a couple of options, you know. You only have a couple of options. You either going to fight or you're going to keep moving, you know. But eventually, you're going to have to fight. A lot of people message me or, you know, leave comments on my videos and be like, well, watch the fight with Sean Porter. He got hit, you know, 150 times or 300 times. And it's like, well, okay, cool. The reason why I'm not doing those videos is because Sean Porter's right-handed. I don't see Terence Crawford fight southpaws in a right-handed stance. I only see him fighting them in a left-handed stance. So I'm doing mostly comparisons of left-handed versus left-handed. Now, Van Heerden was left-handed, Spence was left-handed, and Dongo was left-handed, Crawford was left-handed. So that's really what I'm trying to focus on because my approach to it is completely different. So I got the mindset of, okay, if I was trying to prepare Spence or Crawford for a fight against each other, what details would I mention? You know, I'm not really trying to focus on necessarily the opponent. I just want to focus on who they're actually fighting, you know, as far as stylistically, you know. That's my whole point. So I'm not really trying to focus on, like, Kell Brook. Even though Kell Brook did switch hit in that fight with Spence, you know, I'm not really trying to focus on that. I'm trying to focus on, like, left-hander versus left-hander, you know. But it may be a completely different fight than what I'm guessing, but based on the evidence and based on history, not really. So that's all I got for this video, man. I'm out.